what's that white boy name? In Osteen? Osteen wasn't gonna let you in. You hear me? Clap it. Osteen wasn't gonna let you in his church. Not with them wet ass shoes during the hurricane.
NANI?
Dynamite! Dynamite!
What's up, everybody? So, you know, there's this trend going on TikTok right now where motherfuckers are like cooking chicken in NyQuil or something like that. But as dumb as TikTok is, it's really important to sometimes pay attention to the short stories. Let's hear one of the good ones.
Angry about the civil rights movement, decided to retaliate against Northern liberals by tricking 200 African Americans from the South into moving north. The thought was that when a large number of black people showed up on their doorsteps, the libs would send them away, showing the country what hypocrites they were. The practice was known as reverse freedom rides, and it was cruel. People were lied to, told that they would be given jobs upon their arrival. One rider, Layla Mae Williams, was told that the Kennedy family themselves will be waiting for her and her 9 children in Massachusetts. None of this was true. There was nothing waiting for them. The riders, desperate as they were used without regard as political pawns. It was perverse, shameful, and it's happening right now. It's actually been happening, starting a few months back with the governors of Texas and Arizona shipping busloads of migrants to D.C., Chicago, and New York. And now Florida Governor Ron Desantis has upped the ante by shipping plane loads of migrants to Martha's Vineyard this week. Now, one thing about this group, they really love the classics. They're using the same vile stunts out of their 60-year-old playbook. And they're loud and proud about it. It's reported that DeSantis' staff had a film crew shoot video of the migrants deplaning and then walking down Vineyard streets. And one of his aides tweeted a photo of President Obama's house there with the tag, "Plenty of space." Never mind that we're talking about people, some of them families escaping from hellish conditions. To these governors, they're just tools to be used in service of their needs, and they're willing to spend taxpayer money to do it. Money that literally could be used to help these people. Just this morning, buses from Texas dropped loads of migrants outside of the vice president's residence at the U.S. Naval Observatory. And this is all being done with no advance warning being given to the places receiving these people. It almost seems as if the cruelty of it all is the point for these governors.
And that is an interesting point, because when I first heard about what they were doing to these migrants, who I think we need to be very clear, these aren't illegal immigrants, right? These aren't illegal immigrants. These aren't people who cross the border illegally. These are actual legal citizens looking for asylum. They have done the paperwork necessary. They have crossed at the correct crossings, and they are seeking help. These are people who are in danger, seeking help. And I just want to remind you guys, like, this is why I don't have arguments. Like, in my comment section last week in a video I put out about Mississippi, and we're going to talk about Mississippi again today. I put out a video about Mississippi's governor and how he has completely failed Jackson, Mississippi. But then you do a quick cursory glance of Jackson, Mississippi, and find out 83% of Jackson is black. And all the surrounding cities are white. And they got enough funding. They got clean water. There's no problems in those other cities. But why is the nation's capital, Jackson, Mississippi, failing? Oh, because black people live there. That's why. And the white lawmakers of that city don't care. And when I saw this, when I heard about the migrant being bused to these liberal places, unannounced, without any resources, being lied to, I said, they've had to have practiced this before. That was my first genuine thought. They've practiced this before. And I just typed in the word black people being sent to, and I found reverse freedom rides. And it's bone chilling. It's bone chilling from a like a weird way. But I wanted to know more about it. And basically, this was part of the Segregation Act. These people, these racists from these southern towns, wanted to prove that the only reason why they were so big on segregation is because they didn't have to put up with migration of new people, because people were too poor to move north, and they wanted to test that theory. So they moved them for them, lying and telling people whatever they needed to. The irony of the course was white citizen councils didn't really need to pull a cheap stunt. The North already had large black populations, one that had been growing in leaps and bounds since the start of World War II. To be sure, in the North, black people could vote, build political power, but a complex thick-knit of discrimination in housing, jobs, credit, banking, and policing, and the provision of public services such as education infrastructure rendered black people second-class citizens in most northern localities. By the mid-1960s, urban unrest and contests over school and housing discriminations would lay bare these inequalities. So it's crazy that, one, after this happened, no laws went in place to stop it from ever happening again. Two, the net cause and the net result was you can't send people, like, what do you expect people to do? Like it's crazy that they think that this is like even acceptable. Like, and this is why I can't argue or talk or reason with Republicans. There's no middle ground with these folks. There's no middle ground. Like, people I know who voted Republican, I just think less of you. It's nothing personal, but you're a monster. And that's okay. Another thing that's super interesting about this is the amount of money that was wasted here. Because when we want to talk about money moving forward, let's think of Florida, let's think of Texas, and let's think of Arizona. 2 years ago, two winters ago, Texas was so cold that it literally 235 people died in the winter because they lost heating. Florida, in 10 years, is probably going to be underwater if we don't do something about global warming. And Arizona is literally running out of water. My thing is, they have, and these are places in the South, so we know, statistically speaking, their life expectancy, health and education, and existential rights for women, men, black people, minorities are all super low. Why do we have such a hard time just taking, like, you won't take care of your own people, you're not going to take care of new people? What is this infatuation with being in control or having this power where you just find it in your nature to be like, you don't have another way of being rich? Like, you have to find pleasure in punishing folks. Like, the thing that was really disheartening was, like, these people probably got on these boats because, let me explain how this happens, right? They basically, this is crazy because Ron DeSantis and, dare I say, the Texas governor, all of them should be investigated for human trafficking. This has to be some type of, like, no warning, no government coordination. If I did this, I'd be in jail right now for trafficking. And while I know it's probably not possible for idiot that is DeSantis to be put in a jumpsuit, what type of standard are we setting? We need to make sure a law is set for this, because these are places that get federal funding for this, right? These are places that get federal funding for this type of stuff. because they are border towns. They are border cities. They should be prepared for this type of shit. You're right. But if I would beat him relentlessly. No qualms about it. The thing about it is, he's a person who has experienced struggle through disability. So for him to be so cruel to people who have disadvantages it's like when I see black people being mean to Asian people because of like Asian hate, and a black person got caught being mean. Like, bro, relax. This is just a mix up. We should be on the same side. But the thing that's extremely cruel about Ron DeSantis's involvement, you're probably thinking, how did Ron DeSantis even get border migrants? Because the places that border his state are United States and an ocean. So how did he get migrants? Well, he basically sent a booker down to the border of Texas and had him spread rumors. Get on this bus. It'll take you to Florida, and then it'll fly you to a place where you'll have jobs and money, and there's already housing waiting for you. And he got these people to sign contracts to agree to this. And then he used government money from Florida to drive across state lines, trafficking across state lines, and then put them on a chartered plane. In total, from beginning to end, with the added boost of him hiring a film crew, $5 million U.S. tax dollars that could have been used to send to Puerto Rico, that's currently experiencing another hurricane, the Dominican Republic that's about to experience one, and all the islands, the Carolinas, and Florida when it hits landfall. Hurricane season is literally here. There's so many ways we could have, like, it just begs the question, if these leaders aren't prepared to use the money to help the people, then let's not give them the money. Like, I know the idea of having leaders was because we wanted the leaders who would have the best knowledge of how to use money. I could have done a better job with this. And the point is cruelty. They had no intention of even more. They were like, Martha's Vineyard wasn't prepared. Martha's Vineyard is a fucking resort. It's a seasonal report that has less than 100,000 people in the place at any given time. My college had more people on campus. Cruelty. But it was based in racism in the past. But there is an opportunity for justice. Let's hear about it.
Sheriff Javier Salazar with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. We wanted to call this conference to answer, I guess, just a bunch of questions we've been getting throughout the day in piecemeal fashion. We're just going ahead and clear the air for everyone. We are opening up a case with an investigation with regard to the suspected activities involving the 48 migrants from Venezuela that, as we understand it at this point, the facts of the case at this point, are that on Wednesday, September 14th, here in Bexar County in the city of San Antonio, our understanding is that a Venezuelan migrant was paid what we would call a bird dog fee to recruit approximately 50 migrants from the area around a migrant resource center on San Pedro here in San Antonio. As we understand it, 48 migrants were lured, I will use the word lured, under false pretenses into staying at a hotel for a couple of days. They were taken by airplane. At a certain point, they were shuttled to an airplane where they were flown to Florida and then eventually flown to Martha's Vineyard, again, under false pretenses is the information that we have, that they were promised work, they were promised the solution to several of their problems. They were taken to Martha's Vineyard from what we can gather for little more than a photo op, video op, and then they were unceremoniously stranded in Martha's Vineyard.
And that right there beats the cake. It's just like, if for nothing, just to be cruel. And when that's the premise and that's the only thing you plan to gain is cruelty, that's unacceptable. But I will say this. Shout out to the Martha's Vineyard, the church that was along the pathway that stopped and let all 48 into the church. Because there's a dude, what's that white boy name? Osteen? Osteen wasn't going to let you in. You hear me? Clap it. Osteen wasn't going to let you in this church. Not with them wet ass shoes during the hurricane. Sit y'all asses out. Oh, wait. We on TV? We on TV? Y'all open the doors. Y'all open the doors. It's cool. And they got money hidden in the wall? That church needs to be abolished. Ultimately, shout out to Martha's Vineyard citizens who live off of, just seasonal items based on when people are on the island and when people aren't. A resort, basically. For coming together and making sure that these migrants, not only the adults, the children, all had what could be attest to a warm welcome. They were treated with respect and decency. And if all 48 of these people don't get some type of compensation for this, because laws had to have been broken here, someone's getting sued. So hopefully there will be some ratification about that, but we didn't want to let it go without saying clap it. Fuck you, Ron DeSantis. Fuck you.